This is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles from Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors. Retirement isn't just about saving, it's about having a strategy that helps you navigate market ups and downs, combat inflation, and secure the future you deserve. That's why Financially Fit Radio is here to tackle your biggest financial concerns, share actionable strategies, and help you move toward your retirement goals with confidence. And now, here's Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles.
Welcome back to another episode of Financially Fit Radio. I'm Cory Sickles with Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors. If you like any information that we discussed today, feel free to give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can always visit us online at safeharboroh.com. While you're on our website, feel free to click on that radio page. You can listen to previous shows, and you can also subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or Spotify. Also, feel free to watch today's show on our YouTube channel. Just type in Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors. You can go to the Financially Fit Radio playlist, listen to today's show, previous shows, and also make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you're kept up to date anytime we put any videos out there. We do about anywhere from 3 to 5 video shorts a week about different types of financial topics, just in order to try to educate you. Again, we're here to help and to make sure you have the best retirement that you can. And just remember, if you schedule a meeting with us, all meetings are complimentary. There's no financial obligation. So we're here truly to help you. Today, we're going to talk about, it's hard to believe this, but 2026 is right around the corner. So we're going to talk about your essential year-end financial to-do list. So I think we have some good things to discuss there, just to make sure that you're thinking about anything that you might need to wrap up before 2025 ends. But before we dive into that, let me introduce to you my co-host this week and every week, and that's Tony Shore. Tony, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I had a great week and look forward to hanging out with you guys again today. Got a lot of great information from last week's show, and I see we're bringing Joe back. I just added him into the conversation right away so he can be here from the beginning. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I've been doing good. I can't think of anything new. I've just been so busy trying to get things done, getting prepared for the colder weather. I think it's going to hit us eventually, right?
I think it will eventually. Yeah. I guess it's going to be, 60s this week.
Yeah.
Going to maybe pop 80 over the weekend. So, we'll see how that. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, Tony, that Halloween's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just right around the corner. That should be fun. Speaking of Halloween, we've got Joe Shanks here. Joe, what are you going as this year?
You're looking at it. I'm not a big Halloween person, never have been.
Yeah.
It's one of those I don't get into it too much. The excitement for me is taking the kids out trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
My youngest wants to be a firefighter this year, and he just got his costume last night, and it just made his day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the fun part for me.
That's awesome. I assume you're going to at least 2 or 3 costume parties this year, Cory. What are you going as?
I do like Halloween a lot, and I'm not going to reveal what I'm going as yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I want everyone to be surprised, Tony.
Oh,
but we have a pretty good time on trick or treat night, at our place. There's about 4 or 5 houses. We meet in our driveway, put together a little pit fire, and pass candy out. It's kind of nice for the kids. They hit 4 or 5 houses with one little stop.
We do the exact same thing. I live in a cul-de-sac, and all the cul-de-sac, we get together usually in my driveway or my neighbors right across the street. We set up a few tables. We have a fire pit, chairs, and we usually order in some pizza. And my favorite part of Halloween is seeing all the kids come by in their outfits, and it's very fun. The parents dragging the kids around, and since my kids are all grown now, I get to live vicariously. I used to love to take my kids trick-or-treating. That's why I love that holiday. It is fun. Joe, you're right. That's the best part right there. And then seeing the other little kids come by and get excited when they see what candy you have, that kind of thing. So,
well, it's always good to see the costumes, but I look forward to the adult beverages.
Well, sure, and we have those too to hand out. We hand out adult beverages.
We hand them out to the parents that are
We do
walking
too.
around with their kids, and
Yeah.
it seems like it seems like it's always nice, and then all of a sudden it gets cold on Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or rainy or whatever
yeah.
else.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It can be the most beautiful week ever. And then whatever night Halloween is, it's going to rain or snow or be cold. It usually never fails. So we'll
Yep.
see. Maybe this year we'll have a nice one. So we've got a great show today, right, Cory?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're
yeah.
going to talk about, the financial checklist here for the end of the year. And before we dive into that, it's AEP time, or annual enrollment for Medicare. So I thought Joe, we can kind of you can give us an overview of what are some of the major changes that you're seeing in some of the plans, this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just said, it is annual enrollment time. So that is that time of the year where you can make changes with your Medicare coverage, whether it's your prescription drug plan, your Medicare Advantage plan. And it's also a good time to look at your supplement option as well. I saw a stat earlier today that says 7 out of 10 Medicare beneficiaries do not compare their coverage going into the new plan year. And I see it a lot. People just let things new because they think what they have is good for, year after year. And, there's a lot of changes that are happening. I'm seeing with prescription drug plans, some of the plans are being eliminated here in Central Ohio. 4 plans have been eliminated for 2026. Some of the plans, the premiums have increased. One particular plan that has been the popular plan over the last handful of years, that premium's almost doubled. So, you don't want to be left, kind of in the closet or in the dark for something to happen. And then all of a sudden January comes around and you get hit with that large premium increase. I've also seen that some of the common prescriptions, not all of them, but there are some prescriptions that aren't being covered going into 2026 with these drug plans. So, that could potentially cost you a lot of money out of pocket. You may have to either be stuck if you don't compare your options and review it, or you're talking to the doctor looking at some, alternatives. And then also, to kind of take into account the Part B premium for 2026 is expected to increase to over $200. Hasn't been officially released yet, but the expectation is 206. So going up from 185 to 206. That's another added cost that if, you're not reviewing your options, that you're potentially paying more out of pocket. Plus, they up the maximum out of pocket for your prescriptions, $100. So there's a lot of changes coming forward. Even in the Medicare Advantage space, a lot of the insurance companies are decreasing benefits and raising some of those out of pocket expenses for that individual. So, like we say, all the time, it doesn't hurt to do a review. It's complimentary with us. You don't have to be a Safe Harbor client to, have us help you or provide that service to you. So it's important to, look at the options that you have going into 2026 and make sure that those options still, are going to fit your needs.
Yeah. What I'd probably say too, Joe, I mean, if you really think about it, you said 7 out of 10 don't even review it, but let's just say, your cost goes up 5% a year and there's something that you could actually save. After 5 years, that's, you've actually just had an increase of around 25% just off of your prescription or your advantage programs or supplement programs. So, I would just recommend for our listeners and our viewers out there, give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can visit our website at safeharboroh.com and schedule a complimentary meeting with Joe just to be able to review your plan. The worst case scenario, guys, is there's no change for that, and it's not going to cost you anything just to make sure that you're on the right track to have the best health care that you possibly can for 2026.
Yeah, just a little bit of your time and a little bit of my time, and we'll get some answers for you.
Thanks, Joe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, good to see you again. And that's really one of the first things on the checklist, right, Cory?
That is one of the things
Medicare
on your financial checklist is
for year.
Yeah, you really should review your health care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Don't let that go. I can't believe those stats. He let a lot of people just let it go and don't review where they're at. And this year, you really don't want to do that because there are a lot of changes and cost increases, as he said. So Cory, we're talking about a year-end, your essential year-end financial to-do list. What else is on that list?
Just to wrap up that Medicare side of it, the one thing that I think everyone hates, and that is, to review like your homeowners or review your automobile or review any of your type of insurance, but just because sometimes it seems like it's a waste of time. But I think at the end of the day, Tony, it's something that we all should do on an annual basis, because inflation just keeps rising cost. And I hate to say this, but sometimes they know that people aren't even going to review anything, and there's just natural increases that are going forward, and everyone just kind of says, well, I expect that. That's what kind of should happen.
Yeah, we did that with our homeowners insurance. We let it go for years and years, and we never reviewed it, never looked into it, and we were overpaying by so much, Cory. I mean, because they just raised it every year. And then we went to a different company and said, what would you do this for? And it was so much less. We could have saved. I mean, it was really, it was embarrassing to my wife and I, like, why did we just let this go? So I found we do that regularly with our auto insurance, with our even phone bills. If we feel like, man, they're raising this a lot, we look around, we say, hey, this is too high. How can we save money? And a lot of times they'll lower it for you, or you're overpaying.
I watch a show, Tony. It's called, you watch The Bear?
Yeah, the restaurant show. Right. Yeah.
Well, they use a phrase in there. Every second counts.
Every second counts.
And the way I look at it is every dollar counts.
Yep, or every penny even. Yeah.
Yeah, every penny counts.
Yeah.
And because over time, if you don't take care of it now, you're just going to be paying a lot more than you probably should in the long run. So, So, get your healthcare checked out. Again, just visit our website at safeharboroh.com or give us a call at 614-760-0670, just in order to get your complimentary review. So the first thing I kind of want to talk about, Tony, is for anyone out there that is over the age of 73 or you're turning 73, you need to make sure that you're taking your required minimum distribution. If you don't take that, then penalties apply. And it used to be up to 50% of the RMD. Now if you fill some paperwork out, I believe it's about 25%. But the point of it is this: if you're over the age, you have money in an IRA or a 401k, and you're, obviously if you're not working with that employer anymore, you are required to take out a certain percentage every year, and depending upon your age, you can calculate that. I know it's 3.78%, the year you're turning 73, but you do want to be able to make sure that you take that out. Also, what a lot of people don't realize is if you have an inherited IRA, what most people think is you have 10 years in order to liquidate the account, and that is accurate. However, you have to, starting this year, you have to take out a required minimum distribution every year. So, to our listeners out there, if you do have an inherited IRA, make sure you are taking money out this year. Mm-hmm. Because again, if you miss it, you're going to be penalized, and you're just giving away free money to the government.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that. Money they don't have to. You don't want to give it away. You don't want to just give extra money to the government. You don't have to. So make sure you take those required minimum distributions, have those set up, because the penalties, you don't want that. What's next?
Another one we always talk about, are tax withholdings. So the one big, beautiful bill this year locked in some of those tax rates. Or the tax brackets, for going forward at what they were previous. So, if you have any big life events, if you've been married, if you have a divorce, maybe you changed a job, you might have to make sure that your old W-4 is still filled out correctly and you're withholding the amount that you need to. Because the last thing you want to do is, come April, find out you owe a lot more money because you didn't withhold enough tax. So this is a good time to make sure that you're on track, to make sure that you're, withholding the dollar amount that you need to. But again, it's always a good time to review that. That's on, it only takes a minute. Look at your pay stub, make sure you understand what taxes are being held out. And if you need to change your W-4, you want to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't think about is your withholdings on your taxes might be off or they might change. And taxes in general, you want to look at were there big life events like marriage, divorce, job change, births, deaths that might change your tax situation. You got to look at those things too, don't you?
Yeah, you do have to be able to look at that. I mean, that obviously taxes are a big thing. No one wants, everyone wants to pay the least amount, but I know a lot of
Yep.
people don't like to get that big tax bill come April.
Yeah.
Be surprised that they owe a lot of money when it comes, paying the IRS and Uncle Sam as well.
Yeah.
Interest rates, Tony, over the last, definitely over the last few years have been some of the highest we've seen in years. And it looks like we're going the other way. Interest rates are starting to drop.
Yep.
It looks like we might have, when the Fed meets again, there might be another drop in the interest rates. And usually what that means is, especially if you have CDs or savings accounts or money market accounts, all of a sudden they're going to start to lower those. And it means you're going to make less money in the bank as well, right? Annuities are the same thing, Tony. There's a lot of annuities out there. If any of our, if you're out there thinking about doing an annuity, that might be something you might want to discuss, because when interest rates drop, then the participation rates, or how much you can actually earn, drop as well. So it might be a good time to lock in and get better guarantees on an annuity or any type of interest rate right now. It'd be a good time to maybe even lock in on a CD, or we do what we call, MIGAs, which is kind of like a CD. It's a fixed interest rate with an annuity company. And right now we're seeing rates for like 2 years over 5%. But those are going to be dropping as interest rates drop as well. So if you're thinking about, doing any of those type of safe money type of transactions, this is a good time to what we call refinance your portfolio, just to make sure that you are getting the best interest rates going forward.
Yeah, that's a big one. Refinance that portfolio, rebalance it. That's really, really important, especially before the end of the year. So what's the next thing we can put on our year-end planning checklist?
If you're taking an RMD and you're at that age, a lot of people might want to actually have some of that required minimum distribution go to what we call a qualified charitable. It's called a qualified charitable distribution, right? Which means you can have part of your RMD actually go to a charity, especially if you're given maybe to a church, or you're given a certain amount of a large sum of money on an annual basis. The nice part about that, Tony, is if you actually fill out the paperwork the correct way, that contribution fulfills your RMD. Let's just say it's $5,000 you want to be able to give to a church or some type of charity. That $5,000 meets a portion of your required minimum distribution. You don't pay tax on that. Then more than likely, who you actually give that to is not going to pay taxes as well. So this is the time to do it. RMDs have to be done by the end of the year. If you want to be able to do that, we set up a lot of these for clients throughout the year that are, especially the ones that are given to churches and things like that, where they know they're going to give the money anyway to them. Instead of giving it to them on a monthly or every time they go, to church on Sundays, they're just giving that money once a year, same amount that they would give throughout the year. But again, you're going to be able to receive some of that tax benefit as well.
Yeah. I mean, the church or the charity still gets the same amount of money. They get it. They get it tax free. They don't pay taxes on it, and you don't have to. The difference is you're saving all the taxes you would have paid on that money throughout the year. So if you're in a situation where you qualify for qualified charitable distributions, that's really a good one and a good thing to have on that year-end checklist. Now, what's next? What's something else? And a lot of these are tax related, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to be. This is a great time to be able to see maybe should you maybe do a Roth conversion as well with some of your IRA funds, right? Pay that tax. It's a good time. Fourth quarter is a great time. You already kind of know how much money you're going to make this year. Maybe you're going to be in a little bit of a lower tax bracket. Max that tax bracket out potentially. Convert some of that taxable income to a Roth. The nice part about it is you pay your taxes today. However, it grows tax-free going forward. So that's something else to be able to think about. And, since we're talking about, just IRAs and 401ks, this is a great time to be able to also say, what percentage am I actually putting into my 401k, 403b, or your IRA or TSP or deferred comp or whatever you're actually putting money into? Is there a chance that maybe I can increase that? If you can, this is a great time to be able to do that. It's amazing by adding a few dollars more per year or per paycheck. Compound interest is going to be a lifesaver for you, because you're going to have more money in your retirement savings, a few years from now, right? This is also a great time, Tony, to be able to make sure you review your beneficiaries. And if you have a trust, review your trust as well. Things change over the course of a year. Maybe someone passed away. Maybe you have new grandchildren or something to that effect. It's a great time to be able to make sure that all your beneficiaries are set up exactly the way you want it. We never know when our day is going to come. The best time to be able to do all this is when you're feeling healthy. But things do change, and you just want to make sure everything is set up the exact same way that you want to as well.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And we've talked about that on past shows, but I don't think you can emphasize it enough, Cory.
Nope.
Update those beneficiary designations. And like I mentioned earlier, those big life events, like you just mentioned, marriage, death, divorce, births, things happen, life happens, things change. So it's good before the end of the year to review all of that, isn't it? And make sure your estate plan is up to date.
It is, and kind of leading into the same thing too, Tony, with a lot of the accounts that we have for our clients, you have the ability to actually add a trusted contact to all your portfolio, all your investments as well. That doesn't mean they can go in and request money and things like that. But now that gives us someone else that we can contact if for whatever reason we can't contact you, or potentially something happens to you. And now we at least have someone that we can actually discuss your accounts with as well.
Trusted contact. Make sure you have that. Every account should have that. And not only a beneficiary, but your accounts, your estate plan should have someone like that. Make sure that you have that set up, and you should be working with a financial advisor, right?
Yeah, that's definitely. So this is a great time to be able to potentially make an appointment with your financial services professional right now, especially if you want to talk about any of these things that we mentioned today. Roth conversions, I'm having a lot of discussions right now with clients about doing Roth conversions at this point in time. And you always want to be able at the end of the year, look at your portfolio. Go on to our website. You can do your risk analysis. We call it our COMRA, our color of money risk analysis. Find out what your score is. We can tell you exactly what that means. But more importantly, you can go back to your 401k or whatever investments that you have to make sure that you are allocated the correct way. It's been a great year in the market. Everyone's balances have gone up. That also means your risk has gone up.
Yeah.
So you might want to go in and rebalance that to get it back to the risk level that you're really comfortable with as well.
Yeah, and that's huge, obviously, to make sure your portfolio is balanced properly. It's not a bad idea, even if you've already someone's working with you, or you think you've taken that risk analysis, or what your risk tolerance is. Things change over time. Once a year is a good time to review your finances with an advisor, make sure your risk tolerance hasn't changed, and make sure it aligns with where your portfolio is currently at, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a call later today, Tony, with a client. Beginning of the year, they're around 64% stocks in their 401k, right?
Right.
And now they're up to 79%.
Wow.
And the reason why is the market did well. So, of course, some of my discussion will be hey, here's where you are. This might be a good time to, dial it back to where you're more comfortable with, just because we've had a good year in the market. And the nice part about that is by doing that, you also lock in some of those gains you had in 2025.
Right, because the gains aren't locked in until you pull the money out, and you want to do that when it's up. So that makes sense. Now, this has been a great discussion, but we're out of time, Cory. Before we go, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you to set up that no charge, no obligation consultation.
Yeah. For our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can visit our website at safeharboroh.com. Again, you can schedule a complimentary no financial obligation meeting with us. We have locations in Dublin, location in Easton. We can also, do a conference call, or we can even do a Zoom call, in order to get started on your second opinion and your overall financial review.
All right, sounds good. And that does it for today's episode of Financially Fit Radio with our host, Cory Sickles.
Thank you for joining us for Financially Fit Radio. Don't head into retirement without a strategy that addresses both income and taxes. For more information, please contact Cory Sickles at Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors at 614-760-0670 or visit safeharboroh.com now. Join us again soon for another episode of Financially Fit Radio.
Investment advisory services are offered by Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Investment Advisor. Insurance products and services are offered through Safe Harbor Retirement Group, LLC, an affiliated company. Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors, LLC, and Safe Harbor Retirement Group, LLC, are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any government agency. All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.